Merry Christmas, everybody. What is up, everybody? I hope everyone's having a phenomenal Christmas. It is your host, Real American Politics, and back again with a new video. And today, we're going to be taking a look at what if Obama never ran in 2008. What the general election would look like without Obama. Now, the Democrat nominee would, of course, be Clinton. There's nobody, other than maybe John Edwards, that had any fighting chance in this election. It would have been between John McCain and Clinton. So this is a very interesting switch, I guess you could say, because Obama, right, appealed mostly to those working class voters in middle America, right, while Clinton appealed more to those southern voters in places like Arkansas, Tennessee, and a lot better in the Northeast. Those are the type of voters that Clinton would have done better with, while Obama would do better with middle America voters. Now, in this timeline, McCain would still be the nominee and still pick Palin, while Clinton would have been the nominee. I really don't know who the VP would have been. It probably would have been someone like John Edwards again. I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't have been Obama. I highly doubt that. Highly doubt that he runs or even considers it in this timeline. So let's get started. So we're going to start with the safe Democrat states and the safe Republican states. For the safe Democrat states, it would of course start the West Coast, Hawaii, the state of Illinois, Minnesota, the Northeast, of course, the swamp, like Maryland, D.C., Massachusetts, Vermont, New York, and all of Maine. These are the safe Democrat states. As for the safe Republican states, it would be Alaska, Arizona, Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, both Dakotas, though that it was a likely margin, I believe. That was mostly because Obama put a lot of effort in the Dakotas. I highly doubt that Clinton would have put any effort in the Great Plains. All of Nebraska, except of course Nebraska's second. Though Nebraska's first could be likely, it was in our timeline, I do think McCain would have been a little bit better off without Obama. Oklahoma would have been safe, Texas would have been safe, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, and that is the safe Republican states. Now, this is an eyesore, to say the least. These are all the safe states. You might ask yourself, oh, what about states like Arkansas, Tennessee, Louisiana? Well, again, remember I said that Clinton would do a lot better with the southern voters? Yeah, it wouldn't be safe Republican anymore. These are voters that, especially in Appalachia, that Clinton appealed to. These are voters that Clinton would do significantly better with than Obama. So now we gotta do the likely states. The likely Republican states would have been Kansas, the state of Georgia, Montana. That's a state where I highly doubt that Clinton would have competed in, though it would have swung heavily Democrat. And the state of Kentucky. Now, you could say it's a lean state, but I highly doubt it would have been anything but a likely state. Yes, you got Appalachia, but Kentucky's one of those states where, still in this timeline, I just highly doubt it would have been worse than a 6-point win for McCain. As for the Democrats, the likely states would be Nevada, the state of New Hampshire. I highly doubt that McCain puts any effort in New Hampshire. And that's pretty much it other than Wisconsin and Michigan. So this is the likely states. You can already tell where this is going. This is a complete mess of an election. For the lean states, the lean Republican states would have been probably Missouri, the state of Indiana, and I hate to do this, I know people are not going to like me for doing this, but probably the state of North Carolina. It was a fluke that Obama won that election, and really, with Clinton on the ballot, I highly doubt the black turnout would have been higher at all. In fact, I think it would have been down compared to 2004. Clinton really wouldn't have gotten that vote out in North Carolina, so I highly doubt that it would have been worse than a 2-3-point win for McCain. As for the lean Democrat states, I think it would have been Colorado, New Mexico, and probably the state of, you're going to hate me for doing this, everybody, but probably the state of Arkansas. Now, this is unpopular opinion, but I do think Arkansas would have went Democrat this election. The biggest reason that it would have is because Clinton would have done significantly better than Obama in the Deep South, and really, the only reason it swung such Republican in this timeline, in fact, our universe, is because you didn't have a Clinton on the ballot, and the Democrats from the South just basically never ran, and you never got that Southern appeal. But with something like Clinton, I do think that Arkansas could have swung heavily Democrat. Basically, imagine our timeline swung heavily Republican. It would have done the reverse, I believe. So yes, these are the lean states. This is a complete eyesore, as you can tell. Now, for the tilt Republican states, or tilt Democrat states, we're going to start all the way in Nebraska 2nd, or work our way east. So I do think Nebraska 2nd would have been Republican by tilt margin. The biggest reason is Obama kind of, again, won that on a fluke, my personal opinion. As for the state of Iowa, that should actually be a lean Democrat. I don't know why I didn't put it there, but it would have been lean Democrat. The state of Louisiana would have been close, but I do think McCain would have won it. It would have been significantly closer, but I do think McCain would have pulled it off at the end of the day. Same thing with Tennessee. These are two states which would be surprisingly close, but I do think that McCain would have pulled it out. And as for the state of Virginia, I do think McCain would have pulled it out. The biggest reason I do think McCain would have won Virginia is just, I highly doubt, again, that's one of those states where I highly doubt the black turnout would have been significantly higher than our timeline. In fact, again, it will be lower in our timeline. And a lot of those voters that Obama appealed to, especially the suburbs of Washington, D.C., Clinton wouldn't have. Yes, she would do a lot better in Appalachia, but she would do significantly worse, I believe, in the suburbs of Northern Virginia. So I do think it would have been tilt Republican. But for the states of Pennsylvania, I do think that would have been tilt. The reason I say tilt is McCain put a lot of effort in this state, and he still lost it. But I do think with Clinton on the ballot, she would do significantly worse in the suburbs of Philly, significantly worse in the suburbs of Allegheny County, where Pittsburgh is. So really, it would have not been such a crushing defeat for McCain. He still would have lost it by probably half a point to 1 point, maybe even by a lean margin. But it should be a lean margin, but it would have been closer than our timeline, way closer, in fact. For the state of Ohio, I do think it would have been tilt Democrat. Again, pretty much the same thing. Appalachia would have carried Clinton to a victory. Same thing in West Virginia. These are two states where it's pretty much Appalachia would have carried Clinton. And a lot of those suburbs of Cleveland still, I think, would have still swung somewhat Democrat, but not to the extent it did in our timeline. The biggest reason a lot of these suburbs did swing Democrat as much as it did, a lot of these urban counties, was, again, mostly because of Obama. So, you see, I think these two states would have been Democrat. West Virginia going Democrat with Clinton on the ballot, not crazy. She did significantly better than Obama in Appalachia. And, well, West Virginia is nothing but Appalachia. As for the state of Florida, I do think it would tilt Democrat. It's just, again, imagine the suburbs and urban swing, not as radical as it was our timeline. And Florida at this time was still more Republican state, right? It was, Bush won it by 5, so it being tilt Democrat still would have been a heavy swing, but not an 8-point swing like it was our timeline. And this would have been the complete nightmare of the map. And you may say I'm crazy, but really, it comes down pretty much to Appalachia. And Appalachia really would have swung this election in places like West Virginia, Southern Ohio, Tennessee, Virginia, and states like that. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this Christmas special. Kind of my personal take what the election would have looked like. And yes, if you guys did enjoy, hit the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, and yes, click that join button down below, follow me on Twitter, and yes, hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Thank you guys so much for watching.